Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
సార్ కొంచెం పెద్దగా చేయండి సార్, కొంచెం అక్షరాలు కనిపించలేదు ప్రెజెంటేషన్.
స్టార్ట్ చేద్దామా?
సార్ అది కొంచెం చాలా చిన్నగా కనపడుతుంది సార్ ప్రెజెంటేషన్, కొంచెం జూమ్ చేయరా?
ఇది సెల్ ఫోన్ నుంచి చేస్తున్నాను సార్. అది
అవునా? ఓకే ఓకే. అదే
అది దాంట్లో రావలేదు అంటే ఎందుకో బ్లాక్ చేసినట్టు వచ్చింది. సెల్ ఫోన్ నుంచి అయితే వస్తుంది. I will block the device, log into another system. అంటే ఇవి లేకపోతే కష్టము.
లేదండి సార్, మేము స్క్రీన్ మీద కొంచెం జూమ్ చేసుకుంటానండి సార్. కంటిన్యూ సార్, మరి టైం వేస్ట్ అవ్వకూడదు. మేము కొంచెం జూమ్ చేసుకుంటానండి మా స్క్రీన్స్ మీద.
సార్ లేదంటే ఒకసారి నాగేశ్వరరావు గారికి ఫార్వర్డ్ చేయాలి సార్, తన గ్రూప్ లో ఫార్వర్డ్ చేసేది సార్, సరిపోతుంది.
సార్ అది తర్వాత చేస్తారులే,
చూద్దాం సార్. ఇప్పుడు now let us start it.
Yeah, please start sir.
Okay, is it visible sir?
Yes sir.
Yes sir.
Hello, sir. Please.
Okay, I'm starting. So yesterday we have seen one of the trait theories of personality given by Allport. Is major concentration or major points he focused on are: number one is the traits, second one is the self, third one is the functional aspect of motivations. These three things we have to remember. Instead of needs, you use the word motivations, and different types of functions adapted to them. And also how the self is having 7 functions, how they develop as a person grows. That is also given by Allport. Allport is considered to be father of trait theory of personalities. So now let us see another theory which is highly dependent on Allport's analysis of traits, and he further simplified that, because Allport approach is lexical, and meaning he has seen the dictionary, Webster's modern international dictionary. In that he gathered around 14,000 words that are related to the behavior or traits or fixed pattern of behavior. There, after gathering 14,000, that is around 13,973 words he collected, and he tried to group them according to certain criteria which are having commonalities, are pulled together and renamed. In that process, he has come down to 4,500 words, around 4,500 words. There are 4 lakh words in the dictionary. From that, 40,000 words are related to the behavioral patterns. And from there, he has, I'm talking about the Allport. From there, he derived around 4,500 words related to the behavioral patterns. From there, Kettle picked up. Kettle says we can further simplify it using modern techniques available in the statistics. So what Allport's where Allport left, it was picked up by Kettle. we should not use it as a cattle, we should use kettle. His theory of personality is also based on traits. From the 17,400 words, 4,500 words. Now, from these words, he picked up and used factor analysis where common aspects will be pulled together and made into the generalized categories. He categorized them into 171 characteristics. Then he started classifying the traits as done by Allport. He also classified them. We will see it subsequently, and arrived at 16 standard factors or traits, which are there in common, which are there in people, common people, and everybody will have one in a different degrees, everybody will be having. And he says that once you study this one, we can rather predict his behavior also, measure his behavior and control his behavior. This is essence of Kettle's approach. So he used factor analysis, not single variant, single variable he has not taken. He has taken multiple variables as the causes, and then he analyzed. We will see that subsequently. Then he has used generalization process instead of the generalization process specific to general figure. It is called inductive method. He used inductive method and also experimental method, empirical method, which is unbiased and objective. So he also developed a questionnaire. We call it 16 PF questionnaire that is available online. You can know your personality. I will send that in the chat box at the end. So you can use that for your self purpose or others purpose. Okay. Now let us go into Kettle's next slide. Kettle's key concepts are: number one is personality trait. What are personality traits and what is the structure of it? And then how many factors are there? How you can, common things can be clubbed together and named, give different names, where we can identify personalities or differentiate from one person to other person. He concluded from 171 to 16 personality factors. Then he are also given a equation. We have seen the equations given by in the earlier study where unified field theory is there. There we have used certain formula. That formula is extended by Kettle using situation and types and their degree of intensity in individual person. So he says how that equation useful in prediction also you can see. It is more statistical. In a simplified form we will discuss. Next, how the personality develops, he also discussed in stages. Then how the psychopathology develops. Now coming to the definition, Allport's definition, we have seen it. Similar definition he had given here by the Kettle. Kettle says that it is. Kettle says that the predictable characteristics of a person and consistency across different circumstances in the behavior or traits. They are stable relatively over a period of time. So 171 traits, how we arrived from 4,500 words, number one. Number two, from these 171 related traits, how we finally came to common factors, personal factors in every individual, that we will see now. He had classified these traits depending on the behavioral pattern into basically two categories on observation, depending on the internal factors and external observation of a behavior. He concluded that there are two types of behaviors, variables for the behavior. One is internally what is not seen. He called it, for example, IQ is there, or ego is there, introversion is there, extraversion. These are all internal factors which are not immediately seen, but they drive our behavior. He called them as the source source traits. He concluded from these 171 by using.
पुराने नंबर से बनाते नहीं
हेलो
पिक्चर दिन बोले सीने नहीं कर सकते
क्या बोलते हैं ऐसे क्या अब
नहीं हुआ
సార్ మీరు మ్యూట్ చేయండి సార్, హజీరా మేడం ని మ్యూట్ చేయండి.
నేను దీంట్లో ఈ సెట్ just I will see somebody mute. Thank you. Please do it because cell phone I cannot do it. I don't know how to do it. Okay, next coming to this classification of traits. Internally there are source traits we call as which drive our behavior predominantly, and they are the behavior exhibited by us is called as the surface traits. Observable, unobservable. Internal traits are the major forces which drive our behavior. He mentioned them as first order source traits. There are 35 source traits he identified from 107. So from these 35 source traits, again he made an analysis of relatedness, covariance, and if the relatedness he found, then he clubbed them and gave a new name to that. In that fashion, he developed 16 personality factors which are internal to us, which drive our behavior. Then externally, what we observe is called as source traits. They are what we see in our behavior. There may be angry or irritation or neatness, everything comes under this. So next here, depending on the expression of these internal and external factors, variables, he again defined in a different fashion. Second category of classification is on the behavior expression of these traits. There one is ability, second one is dynamic traits, third one is temperamental traits, temperaments. There are three things he gave for our behavior. So one is, let us see the motivation behind the behind our exhibited behavior. We called it as dynamic traits or motivations also we can call. These are the dynamic. Once this motivation comes, we will be exhibiting our behavior, our response. They are called as temperaments. How effectively we implement or exhibit or show our behavior or show our performance depends on our ability. So these three modalities are, one is motivation, otherwise called as motivational traits or dynamic traits. Second one is temperaments, what we exhibit, and abilities are like intelligence, verbal ability, so many mathematical abilities, so many abilities are there where we use them, our skills for the performance. If depending on the expression, he classified them into three categories. The temperamental behavior, whatever temperaments we show, they are he classified into two. One is constitutional and second one is emotional responses and constitutional bodily responses. How our organism exhibit the performance, it is speed and energy what we use are the contents of this constitutional part. Second, emotion is anger, fear. These emotions also push into action. So this is temperaments. Then regarding the abilities, we have the intelligence, crystallized fluid intelligence theory of intelligence. Cattell comes there. Fluid means which is forming even after adulthood also. Crystallized means it stops one point of time. It is related to intelligence. Fluid is adaptability skills and the creativity. So coming back to the dynamic motivations, there are certain motivations, motivational traits he classified into three. One is attitudes, second one is sentiments, third one is the X. These three are traits, again classified in terms of source and surface. Are attitudes are surface, what we exhibit outside. He brought in the concept of Freud. He is influenced by him also, and he brought in that what we exhibit, surface state means what we exhibit, what appears to others. He called them as ego, superego, conflict, and physiological aspects. There are 5. He says that they are acquired. Then sentiments are nothing but attachments. Attachments to the social objects, home, school, family, friends, and also to the country and to the self. These are environmentally driven. In this, self-sentiment is more important. They give us predisposition, they are ready to act. So this attachment gives us ready to act kind of behavior. This is also source trait, means not externally seen. This is internal aspect. Another one is ergs. Ergs are nothing but biological needs. He says that they are biological, innate, and constitutional, like sex, thirst, and basic needs. There are thirst and sex, respiration, freedom from illness. These things are there in the X. So this is the classification of traits. First point in this is completed, personality traits and structure of the traits. This is what we have to write. You can take the diagram that is given here. So now we'll go to the next slide. Here X, he had given 10 X in this. Please see them. They are hunger, social, that means gregariousness, meeting others, interpersonal relations, sexual relations, and curiosity to know, and fighting spirit, and escape from the situation, self-assertion, saying how you are, what you are, and accepting it, and prenatal protective defense mechanisms, a narcissistic feeling, self-love, and acquisitiveness is nothing but possessiveness. These are the basic traits, that 10 R's. Generally in examinations, one question will be there in kettle, because he used many words which are not more English, Greco-Roman words also used. Now comes how in his approach, where from he got the data. He got the data from 3 sources. One is from the life record of a person, how he behaves in different situations, how he performs. It is called L data, life data. From the day-to-day life, how he meets with others, how his performance is, interpersonal relation. All these things are taken note while studying a personality. So next one is he got the Q data. He used to give the questionnaires to the people and then get the information about their thoughts, internal feelings, and that. This is called as Q data, questionnaire data. Then T data is a test he used to conduct. He used to give them the test and giving the answers, he used to collect the input. There are 3 sources, L, Q, T data. So next, in this picture, we use factor analysis from those 4,500 words, how he collected. If you see this factor analysis is given by Spearman. You will get all these points of factor analysis and covariation, correlation analysis. These we get in the research methodology. That is there another subject for you in the second year. Spearman, what he did is, he gave a factor analysis to find common elements can be clubbed and coined as a new phenomenon. This is how the 4,500 words are reduced to the 71 words are in terms of traits. You see the picture here. First 2 traits are giving another trait. Combining them, which is commonality is there, it can be considered as redundancy, that gives a trait. See the third trait, what is written there. There is no commonality with other, that is independent trait, more or less. That trait is taken as it is in the pink second trait. Third one, another 2 traits in the bottom are clubbed and given the another trait. But if you see these traits in the middle, which are derived by clubbing from others, these 3 are again clubbed. You see, the second trait in the middle part, which are there in the pink, these 2 are clubbed and formed into new trait. Like that, after that, the first one is independent trait, that no relation, commonality is not found. So at the last, these 2 traits are mixed. If you found the commonality using statistical method of factor analysis, higher order factor analysis, he derived at the trait. This is how he derived 171 trait. So from these 171 traits, he derived 35 source traits. What we discussed in the here, we discussed about the source traits. Source traits are there in the sentiments, in the dynamics, temperament. Here we got source traits. Here also surface traits are there source. These source traits 35 he derived. From these 35, he came to, he further analyzed and found that 23 are normal traits and 12 are abnormal traits. Abnormal traits causes the psychopathology. So these 23 source traits again factorized. That is called a second order. Again, these whatever 23 derived, again he applied the factor analysis, arrived at 16 factor analysis, 15 traits, or we can call them as the types. So 16 types he derived. So other 7 are he left. Second order traits when he applied, he got another he got 5 second order factors. They are extraversion, anxiety, and emotionally negative, pathemia, and control, and identify. He is getting a pattern. He could not identify what that combination of traits can be called as what factor. This is how he did the factor analysis. Then comes, what are the 16 personality factors? There are source traits. Please remember this. This is while writing this answer, or use them 16 personality factors, source traits. Based on the source traits, he arrived 171 source. He arrived at these common traits, source traits. So they are A, B. This is there in your book. The table is there. He named them with the English numbers, in English letters, A to O, but he omitted, please remember, D, J, K are not there. While writing in the examination, you should not mention D, J, K. For future purpose, they are left. So the A to O are 12 factors derived from both live data and the questionnaire. Derived from live data and questionnaire. But Q1 and Q4 are derived from questionnaires only. So this this Warmoth, for example, it is bipolar. Bipolar means there is a continuous style is there. The scoring will be there. If low score 0 to 4 are there, they comes under lower end, and middle 4 to 6 or 7 are there. They are normally Warmoth. If this is high, that is 7 to 10 in the scale of 1 to 10. But 7 to 10 are there. There are higher end. Lower end means Warmoth person will become reserved person. He had given some Roman names for that. Schizotype, something. For every factor he had given like that. Let us see English words. And higher end is called as outgoing type from the Warmoth. Outgoing type comes under extroverts. So when these 16 are again clubbed, we get this extrovert. He got that as a second order. We discussed that, extrovert and introvert. This is the part of that. Why Warmoth person with a higher end will become extrovert. I like that this analysis goes on. Reasoning is a factor. If it is less, it is mentally deficient. IQ is less, so he is intellectually deficient person, and more is genius. So such things we can analyze by doing the test given by Cattell. 16 PF test is there. I will share this online. So there are, what are these 16? I will read 16. Very easy to understand. Warmoth, and these are all there in every person with a certain degree. Warmoth is there, how he related to others. Second one is reasoning is there. And then emotional stability. This comes under emotional stability and stability, part of neuroticism. Please remember, neurosis is different, neuroticism is different. While writing, don't get confused. Neurosis is related to psychopathology, where your excitement is, normality is not there. And you will be having depression, anxiety, stress, panic attitude, and conversion disorder. These things will be in neurosis. But in neuroticism is a trait. It is not a disease, but it is abnormal. It leads to the disease. So he also discussed at the end which factors of these 16 factors cause neurosis. He separately discussed. We'll see at the end. So neuroticism is a trait where emotional stability, instability, there it only tells it. But combination of different factors will contribute to the pathology. So next one is dominance, non-dominance. Then liveliness, where we talks or mingles with others, liveliness and non-liveliness. Rule conscious, social boldness, sensitivity. This is very important. The neurotic people are highly sensitive. So I is important for sensitivity. Vigilance, carefulness, abstractedness, and privateness, apprehension about what happens next, that's suspicion or doubt. Then openness to change. This is openness to change is taken for openness by big five. Question next what we discuss next chapter. So self-reliance is Q2, Q3 is perfection, Q4 is tension. For each of these factors, there is high end, low end, and a middle part. That shows normality, and excessive or shortage leads to what type of behavior one exhibit, it tells us. It is very useful for even for employment recruitment, also to know personality. Also in military recruitment, many places it is used. Now, what I have discussed about Varmuth intelligence, the high and low score description is given in next slides. That is very easy to understand. Now comes how we predict the behavior. Another third question we have discussed. Third point discussed by Kettle is how we predict the behavior. We used the equation what we have seen. Behavior is equal to function of situation or environment and E. So same equation we used here also. Here Kutu-Levin's formula is further refined, where for each situation and trait he had given clear understanding and more which trait or behavior should be given more weightage while calculating the predictable behavior he had given. It is about this equation is about there are 5 traits, for example, in you, and then 5 situations you are exhibiting. He will quantify the per situation as stimulus strength. Here, S is stimulus strength, he will calculate, measure, and T is the trait, how much with how much intensity or sentiment is there for you to exhibit that behavior, T2. That the proportionate weightage is given. Suppose 100 is there, you are more worrisome person, then that worry will get more than 50%. So like that, for the other things also, he distributes that and gives the weightage. And then calculate this. This is a mathematical equation. It is beyond our understanding. Let us move further. Okay. So here he says that it is quantifiable and predictable. It became more scientific in terms of what is the data source for that. Again, L is live record. For one day, you will record all your activities. And Q is the questionnaires we give, T is the test we give, and then get the information applied to this measurement. Next comes how development of personality takes place. He says that there are 16 common traits. Other traits are also, but important source traits which influences our behavior. Source core elements. That they are similar traits will be there across the life in any person within the same dimension or factor. Here we have seen extrovert means outgoing, lively, or more active. These traits, similar traits, combined together called as dimension. That will be there across the life stages, all the stages. Second point is the same trait within the person and other person will not be same in terms of intensity. They vary. For example, intelligence is there. Intelligence is there in every person, but person to person it varies. That is the meaning of it. Then the intensity of the same dimension varies at different ages of same individual. He says anxiety in adolescence is more because it is very dreaded age in the life stages of a person. Their anxiety is more. Who am I? That identity, self-identity established. Roles are defined for him during this period. So he gets more anxiety because he is moving from the later childhood to the adolescence to the adulthood. Then it is less in the adulthood because he already have what is your role in your identity is already established. That's right. So these are the factors he says here. Then comes development of stage influenced by not only the internal aspects of heredity biologically inherited from the parents, but also not only heredity, but also biological factors. He also told in the earlier, biological factors and environment. Together they will influence. But he says that heredity and environment will be in the negative direction. That's why he says that suppose your heredity, you are impulsive in your behavior. So you want to show rudeness, but society has already certain norms. Socialization teaches that we should not be aggressive. So that conflict will be there. So that's why he says the law of coercion. Social norms will impose restrictions on the heredity or biological activity. Okay. Now stages he had given infancy stage, childhood stage, adolescence stage, maturity stage, adult age, middle age, and old age. So these are the 6 stages. He says that out of all these, adolescence is very, very important. He emphasizes more because it is adolescence which gives you more curiosity, more experimentation, more endeavors, more energy will be there during that period. So we should be always adolescent-like in our life. That is what he says. So now development of personality we have seen. Now how the diseases happen. Now during the diseases he says that he applied factor analysis to the psychoanalysis of Freud. Freud also says about the internal conflicts due to the fixations and suppression of energy between the intrapsychic conflict, that the ego, superego. He also brought in that, but he applied scientific analysis, statistical techniques, and also derived the specific equation. From that, he says that conflicts arises from 2 sources. He says one is opposing source traits, what is appeared outside. There, what is the dynamic part of the source trait? Dynamic part is attitude. So in attitude, we have seen ego, superego, psychological, and conflict. There he says that id and sociological are unconscious, that we don't know internally what they are, how they are driving it. They are not integrated, but we have conscious and integrated elements that are ego and superego are there. Superego moral restraints and social norms are moral norms are imposed. Ego imposes the social norms. That is the conflict leads to psychopathology. Second one, opposing source traits. We have seen source traits, also the dynamic source traits. They are X, and X are nothing but biological instincts or biological needs or constitutional needs, and sentiments or attachments or emotional aspects that we have seen how are attached to self, family, friends, nation, country. This also gives opposing traits will be there, so that the ratio of these opposing forces, totality of these totality of ratios of these opposing traits is called as degree of conflict within one person. So what are the things that contribute to this? He had given basically for the cause of neurosis, there are 7 factors. One is C. C means ego weakness. E is higher submissiveness, so assertiveness will not be there. Desurgency means shy will be there, so he cannot mingle with people and the contact will be less. And trectia means he feels threatened by others. Premsia means more refined or highly sensitive people also cannot feel that they are insulted or they are not cared. That's why they will not become social. Then guilt proneness, I did a mistake like feelings. Then inadequate self-sentiment, that we have seen sentiment highest is self-sentiment, not caring self, not developing the self. That is inadequate, that is Q3. And ergic, tension, whatever tension is there in us, that also contribute. These are the elements which contribute to, actually I wrote it here at Q3, Q4 is also there. So what makes breakdown of our nervous system further, more severe? He says that it is the ego weakness, C, and the guilt complex, that is O, and tensions, that is Q4. These 3 together will cause breakdown of the person. So he says that the personality is organized around traits. When it is disorganized, it leads to the psychopathology. That is general definition. Here, what is the ultimate higher degeneration is neurotic breakdown. Solution is say that treatment should be individualistic and restore the gap between the conflicting drives. So this is total essence of Catel's trait theory. Now we will move to next chapter, that is unit 24. Hans Eysenck biological trait theory. Give me 1 minute. Put this one. Okay, sir. Now let us see Eysenck personality theory is more focused on the biological aspect. He says that environment also plays important role, but he also says that a more role is taken by biological aspect and heredity aspects. Otherwise, he also followed same factor analysis used by Cattell. Here, Erickson, how he used, Eysenck, how he used, we see. Eysenck is the person wrote nearly 75 books and most referred psychologist till 1990s, even 2000 also. It is most cited psychologist is Eysenck. He has given a psychological theory of personality, also discussed different biological factors, how they influence. He has more scientific explanation, studying the neurological processes and the central nervous system, and then the different arousal systems in the brain, how hormones influence the brain. These concepts he brought in. His noble contribution is there to the psychology. So he also combined different aspects. It is also, I think it is a more eclectic method, but he used more scientific tools, statistical tools for this analysis. He also used collected data and then applied factor analysis. Unlike Cattell, he derived only 3 dimensions or factors that they are called as PEN. P means psychosis, E means extraversion, N means neurosis. That we will see in the next slides. So while developing his theory, Eysenck says that one should study both normal and abnormal people. He worked in a hospital and studied the normal population and abnormal population having psychopathology for his approach to bring out his theory of personality. But he fixed certain goals for his personality. What this theory should explain, it not only why the individual difference crop up in the personality, how different traits are, same trait is different in different persons. Then his approach is, he combined both trait and type approaches. So traits we know, he also classified, we'll see. Then types are, Hippocrates as a given type, 4 types of personality. He says that the personality, gloomy personality, right? There are 4 types. One is gloomy, melancholic personality, always sorrowful. Choleric personality is always bad-tempered, highly irritative. And sanguine personality or temperament is highly cheerful. And phlegmatic personality is indifferent, lazy fellow and indifferent. this is Hippocratic for temperamental types. These types are combined with the PEN, that is psychosis, extraversion and neurosis, dimensions of individuality, how the link and brought out 4 new types. That combination of extraversion, introversion with these temperaments that we will study later. Now coming to this. Another one is also use factor analysis, and in order to check, we see any theory should be validated. For this validation purpose, we used criterion approach. We know this, we see research methodology about criterion validity. Okay. Then key concept discussed by Ising are: number 1 is personality theory. Second one is hierarchical structure of the traits. Third one is the trait and type association and causal model, and then biological foundation of personality and biological environmental interaction and their influence on the personality. So you see, causal model he has given. Unlike any other psychologists, I see the more two is age and contemporary scientific developments in neurobiology. He has taken and tried to explain our behavior. So now let us see is theory of personality. Now Isaac says the personality is sum total of actual or potential behavior. Now what is seen only we are should not take. We have to what is there internally, potentiality is there. That also, that's why even in kettle, if you see internally, internal things are called source traits. Externally observable, what is appearing and disappearing, observable are surface traits. Here the same concept is explaining. So they are determined by interaction between biological and environmental factors. More or less everybody says it. So hereditary aspect also biologically evolutionary forces are there. We inherit from our parents. They give us certain factors. So they are turned into the traits. He says that traits are biological. So the inherited nervous system within us gives us the excitement. Actually, that is the meaning of temperament also. Temperament is related to the excitement, action. Why you are one person show more vigorous action, somebody dull action. This is nervous excitement in respect to the environment. He says so. This nervous system gives us the abilities to learn and adapt to the environment. This is what he says in his theory. So next theory is Ising's personality theory focused on the genetical influences and the temperaments. These things we will see at the end. The next one is how the environment influences. This is biology. Here he says exhibit the behavioral approach. He says all behavior is learned from the environment, and also he has belief or in the learning system and learning theory. He says that personality can be modified or traits can be modified. Having said that, it are genetical or biological or and influence of environment is there. He also says that environment and the learning process can modify traits and behavior. This is optimistic perspective there. So then let us see his personality, how develops. There are 4 sectors in every person: cognitive elements, cognitive elements, affective elements, and somatic. Somatic means body, affective means emotions and temperament, and cognitive means behavior, what gross motor and fine motors with activities we undertake, and the cognitive mental processes we take. These 4 elements, ABC, you can say, affective, behavioral, cognitive, and somatic. So this is these interaction among these also causes development of the personality. Earlier, what he said that biological, environmental factors within us and the environment put together also develop our personality. Here he says that internal interaction of functional units, sectors also contribute to the development of the personality. They are individual, not environment. So coming back again, here why physiological differences he says that there are gene sequence, hereditary genetic effect he brought up. So observable variances are due to genotype factors. Phenotype, genotype, we discussed in the biological influences on the personality. Please refer that. So, and in his theory of personality, he again combined trait and types. We both approaches and defined them. Then he says that personality is organized in hierarchical method. That we will see how traits are organized in the next slide. So traits are genetically inherited. They are predispositions. Personality types are relatively stable. They're all, everybody is saying same thing. We have to write here also. So next comes hierarchy of traits in personality. This we will see now. Hierarchy personality. Suppose you are exhibiting a behavior that you are very friendly with others. So you are mingling with others very easily with your friend and family. Next, same thing you are exhibiting to other neighbors and friends. Then you are exhibiting that to the social groups and the cultural groups or in office. So these type of behaviors, repeated behaviors, how they form the trait we'll see. So specific response when repeated, when mingling with others or establishing friendly relationship interaction with one person repeatedly and subsequently with other persons and other groups, this become habit. This habit with different circumstances or different events will become a trait. Related habits will become a trait. For example, extraversion is there. They are having common features like sociability, higher activity, liveliness, excitability, establishing relationships, and outward going and openness. Certain things are there in extraversion. So these different aspects and the relationship with others will make the traits. So when they become habitual, these traits, combination of these traits will become types. So here type is extraversion is a type. Similarly, neurosis is a type or a dimension, also called as dimension or factor. So this dimension, he gave 3 dimensions. Kettle gave 16 dimensions. IC gave 3 dimensions. They are psychosis, extraversion, and a neurosis. So if you see this diagram, here also he gave the scale, continuous scale, lower end score, higher end score, how the extroverts behave. Extrovert at lower end become introvert. Higher end is extraversion. So for introverts, if you see, this is next slide. Introverts also we have, they will be shy people, fearing people, and instead of non-conservative people, hesitant people, they won't meet with the others, and there are somewhat nervous system excited with them and try to protect themselves. So there will be irritability, higher end. The traits will be, they are repetitive behaviors. They become habits. From this, we can say that the traits like irritability, persistency, rigidity, shyness will be there in introverts. When these 4 traits are clubbed together, it will become a dimension or a factor called as introvert. That's how he developed extraversion, introversion using subsequent. Initially, he developed extraversion, introversion as the factors of personality or dimensions of personality. But after 10 years of research, he included psychotism also. Psychotism, which is non-realistic in his approach. So the different. So this trait theory, in extraversion, we have sociability, liveliness, activeness, assertiveness, sensation seeking, carefreeness, dominancy, and surgency, and then venturism. Then in the neurotism, the common elements are the neurotic dimension. The people will be having are anxious, depressed, guilty feeling is there, and low self-esteem is there. Tense people, irrationality will be there, shyness will be there, moody people, and emotional people. So then in psychotism, I brought in this dimension, we got traits like aggressiveness. So psychotic people are highly excited people. So aggressive people, coldness, egocentric people, impersonal people. So impulsive people, aggressiveness, impulsiveness combined together, and antisocial activities they can take, and they can become violent, unempathetic. And also a positive element of psychotism is creativity, and they are very tough-minded people. These are different. The 3 dimensions and different traits within them. So if you see this scale, So here introversion, extraversion is there, and the traits I have discussed just now. I have brought in that already read that. So next important elements, they are high and low end. High end, we know in the psychoticism, there is non-conformity, tough-mindedness. There are the points we already discussed. In the low end of psychotism, they are warm people, sensitive people, concerned with the about. Their opposite thing will be there. In the neuroticism, they are emotionally balanced or not, he says. If they are high neuroticism there, that we call them as emotionally unstable people. If low neuroticism is there, nervous excitement is there, then we call it emotionally stable people. Then regarding the extraversion, if they are outgoing, then we call them as extroverts. Extraversion, outgoing people are extroverts. Seeking inwardness or within self-oriented and confined to the their own thought process instead of going outward are called as introverts. This is a classification in this. But he also developed theory, apart from the theory, also developed questionnaires that we'll see. So there are, this I have discussed. Now, how the types and dimensions, the temperaments are combined and brought in the new type of personality types, 4-dimensional personality types. Here in this, in the middle, if you see, there is 4 temperaments of Hippocrates are there: melancholic, choleric, and sanguine and phlegmatic. It is clear for that. Their basic trait is bad temperament, cheerfulness is for sanguinary, phlegmatic is for indifference. Phlegmatic will be having indifference, and melancholic people will be having gloomy trait. So these are combined with the 2 of the 3 dimensions, that is neuroticism and extraversion. He has not compared, brought in the psychoticism in this analysis in the 4 dimensions or combination of trait and types. Now, if you see here, melancholy is having 2 combination of, this is Hippocratic, and when we see the pen model of Ising says that the choleric person will be having highly neurotic and highly extrovert. These 2 combinations give choleric. If we see the graph here, combination of extraversion and low neuroticism gives sanguinary temperament. Then here it says high neuroticism and extraversion gives melancholic temperament or gloomy temperament. And again, he says that the combination of introversion and low neuroticism, combination of these 2 give phlegmatic dimension. They are called as dimensions. That we have mentioned here in the left part of it. That is melancholy, the combinations. But he had developed a scale called as Ising Personality Inventory, EPI. To calculate this, I will, if possible, I will share this online, wherever it is available. Okay, these 57 questions were yes or no questions. But apart from these 50, in these 57 questions, there are 9 questions to detect whether you are lying or not. So you may, for social consumption purpose or social desirability purpose, say, in order to tell that you are a good person, not having problem, you try to give false answers. That's why in order to cross-check, he had given 9 questions. If 9 out of 9 questions, 6 questions are wrongly answered, improperly answered, then you are not a reliable person to analyze this test. That's how you analyze it. The lie score is the important element in this EPI, that Ising Personality Inventory. I think in the practicals of second year, we are having Mordley's Personality Index. This is before EPI he developed MPI, Mordley's Personality. Then subsequently EPI developed, then he modified it, and the number of questions he increased nearly to 190 and developed the EPQ, that is Ising Personality Quotient 1975. Every 10 years he is modifying that on average, just to see. So this is about 4 dimensions, mixing temperaments and the types of Ising. Next is causal model. This here he gave causal model in terms of neural processing and brain arousal systems. Now we see he has given 2 models. Initially, in 1957, he gave reasons for physiological difference in a person. what are there within the person in the organism that makes one person different from others in terms of traits. First model, he tried to compare introverts and extroverts and concluded from the biological research saying that it is the autonomous nervous system, whether it is highly excited or controlled, inhibitory. Depending on that, it is highly excited, we will develop one particular trait. If it is lowly inhibited, then you will go another type of person. This we will see in the next slide. Next, another model he developed further explanation beyond this with some differences. He says in this he says that there is the limbic system in the brain of human being. This limbic system, which includes hippocampus, which is there for memory, and amygdala, which is center for emotions, and cingulum and hypothalamus, which control our physiological breathing, circulation, and respiration, and circulation, hunger, different aspects it will control. So this controlling mechanism is situated in the limbic system. This is called as visceral brain. So he explained this visceral brain. In limbic system, the information from our body goes to the spinal cord. From spinal cord, it goes to ascending reticular activating system. That gives the information to the medulla, and from medulla it goes to brain. It is radiates to it disseminates that information, sensory information to the central nervous system. How this system is aroused? He concentrated more on the arousal of these systems, and that gives, he says, explains that this arousal system differentiate between why a person becomes extrovert, why a person becomes introvert. It explains. Second thing, he says that because it is biological basis, he says biological traits are biological basis. So that's why another says that there is a relation between the cortical arousal. Cortical means brain, frontal brain, which is cognizance is there. Our thought process is controlled there. Cortical arousal. Here again, there visceral arousal, central nervous system. Here, there is a relation between these two by observing comparing the difference of this activity, arousal in the frontal lobe of the brain. We can also conclude. He studied extroverts, introverts in terms of arousal system. There he studied in terms of neural processing. Here, another point he studied is about the neuroticism. Neuroticism he explained in terms of visceral body, visceral brain. That is nothing but limbic system, hypothalamus, hippocampus, amygdala, and the cingulum. So in this system, he is highly scientific and neurobiological aspect he brought in. He says that this biological foundation is from two aspects. One is heredity, and then identifiable physiological abstract we will see subsequently. Then this heredity gives our genetic information, and they are phenotype and genotype we discussed earlier. From there, the three dimension comes. He says that one hereditary contribution is there for pen. Pen I am meaning psychosis, extroversion, and neurosis. Then he also says these physiological changes or substrates are dependent on the properties of brain and central nervous system. Brain and CNS. Say brain is part of central nervous system, brain and spine. It depends on traits are corresponding to this structure and their function. Traits will be developed. Another point he brought in biology. Then extroverts, how he says that extrovert introvert analysis in terms of second model, that is ascending reticular activating system, says that introverts are over-excited, over-aroused. That's why they try to avoid the situation. And their frontal lobe is highly active, highly aroused. And then they have, because highly aroused, less tolerance to the pain. And if you give coffee to these people to stimulate, that stimulation does not work more because they are already excited. So if you see extroverts, he says reticular activating system, ascending reticular activating system is under aroused, less aroused, and then difficult to stimulate them. And there will be low activity in the frontal cortex than the introverts, and they have low tolerance to the sedation, either coffee and toxic elements or drugs. So he again in the neuroticism explains in terms of autonomous nervous system. There he says that the degree of activity reflexes that takes place in the autonomous nervous system more in persons. If it is reactivity is more, ANS reactive is more, you will become more neurotic or that means anxiety. So here is visceral brain, that is hippocampus and amygdala. These units also will be high in action. So VB will be highly active for the neurotics. From psychotic analysis, psychosis is explained in terms of biological basis. He says that if testosterone is high in a person, he is prone to the more psychoticism. Also, one enzyme is there which will remove or make inactive the neurotransmitters in the brain like norepinephrine and epinephrine and dopamine. If this enzyme is less, then all these neurotransmitters will be active and it causes psychoticism. This is what he says. But under the conclusions, he says for this, these conclusions, he had certain three arguments in favor of it. One is that the consistency of same factor is observed across cultures. And second one, he says that the individual try to retain these three factors across his time. That is what Kettle also observed. And heritable components play, inheritance also play important role in individual differences among these three dimensions. Okay, then he says finally that this biological and environmental interaction, how it influences our personality. He says some studies saying that if natural twins are studied, we observe that the genetical factor within these two people contribute 50% to the extraversion and neurosis. Second observation in the study, he says that the adaptation which father or mother are natural parents. When they adopt the children, while rearing, there is no relation between parental traits and the children traits. If both are having similar traits or correlation, if father traits and children traits are related, variance is in the same direction, then we say that genetical influence is there. Here, there is no genetic connectivity. That's why there is no, in adaptation studies, we could not find any relation between parental traits and the children traits. That is zero correlation. Third thing, this is about the genetic aspect and situation, how environment influences. Say that the strongest determinants are situations, because this is genetic information is molded or more by the environment. So that's why child won't cry when parents are there. Child will shy or cry when strangers are there. This is how we try to explain this. This is about the Ising personality. Biological basis, please remember, he explained more in terms of biology, genetics, and hormones, and the nervous system, limbic system, especially in the brain. This is the theory about Ising. So we have almost all covered except one chapter. That is the 20th. We did a very brief one. Robert McCrae and Paul Costa gave 5 factors, but they are frustrated with the too many traits given by Patel and only 3 dimensions given by whom? I think Penn is that now they have brought in 5 reliable models, which till this is used. The 5 model are ocean. This is called as initially they also brought in new. First they have using factor analysis. They brought new means neuroticism, extraversion, neo. O means openness. First they brought in neo. Subsequently they studied further and brought in 2 more dimensions, that is agreeableness and the conscientiousness. So Neo become ocean, OCEAN, ocean. This is the evolution of Big Five theory. But Big Five theory is also trait theory. It is based on the trait, common traits brought together, similar traits brought together, become the dimensions. Same explanation for neuroticism and extraversion. So more traits or behavioral patterns are given by him. And for each of the dimensions, they arrived each of the dimensions from underlying traits, or source traits. They are not called as source traits, but they are facets. What are the facets? For each of these 5 dimensions, there are 6 facets. That means total 30 facets give us 5 dimensions. What are they? That's for neuroticism, we are having 6 facets. They are anxiety, angry, hostility, depression, self-consciousness, and impulsiveness, and vulnerability. These are the 6 facets of neuroticism. For openness, fantasy, they are not more, they become unrealistic also. They are aesthetic people, fantasy people, feeling more and more action oriented. Ideas will be generating more, the more creativity will be there. Values are more for it. These openness people, ready to experience new things, ready to mingle with others, new experience. Openness, not extraversion. Please remember, there is a difference. Extraversion is outgoing. Openness is to have new experiences in the environment. So conscientiousness talks about more or less moral values and orderliness, dutifulness, self-discipline, deliberations, achievement, and competency. These people are very, this type of personality is expected in defense system and the police system or in vigilance systems. So this Big Five also used for recruitment. So agreeableness, how you trust others, and straightforwardness in opening, and altruism, compliance, and modesty, 6 are there. So similarly for extraversion or warmth, that means outgoing people, gregarious, meeting people, assertive, what they feel, there is no mingling, they know how to say yes and yes, how to say no, and high activities and high excitement people. These are 6 facets of each of these dimensions. So these facets, while giving this theory, he had given 3 core components of this behavior. What are the 3 components? One is basic tendencies, that is biological basis. All the biological basis of hereditary tendencies, what are they? They are the core elements. One is this.
Slides are not presenting.
Pardon?
Slides are not showing, sir.
Okay, this is not there. The ocean, this I have not prepared the slides. This theory I have not prepared the slides, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So this is a small theory. Only 5 dimensions are there. For each dimension, 6 facets are there. But what are the core elements for this theory? There are 3 core elements. One is basic tendencies, which comes from the parents, inheritance, biological basis. It is stable, more or less stable. Second component, which makes us activated or adaptive to the environment, is characteristics of adaptation. This is flexible, and there is a flexibility in that. And these are acquired structure we learn from the environment, taught by the parents. Then another one is self-concept. Self-concept is related to the our ego and our self, our beliefs and attitudes and feelings. He says that what are the core elements for our personal, for these 5 dimensions are 30 facets are our biological basis, that is basic tendencies, and learning and acquired nature. They are inherited, these are learned. Acquired nature, that they call it a character adaptation. Third one is our feelings, beliefs, and attitude, the thought process in terms of the self, which is depending on the situation. These 3 things will force us to act. So these are the 3 core elements, components of our personality. Peripheral components, this is how we can call it a structure of the personality also. Peripheral components, what are the peripheral components? Are nothing but the whatever biological needs we exhibit outside. They are the biological basis. Depending on the biological tendency, basic tendencies we discuss in the core element that exhibit biological basis of the needs. Second one is objective biography. This is what happened in the situation outside, not how you experience. It is not phenomenological. It is what happens outside, but not what experience you have that drives you. So what is happening outside, we take some objectively. That means not subjective experience we take. Third one is external influence. This is outward. Internally, core elements are biological basic tendencies from the inheritance. What are we acquired from our parents, and then what are learned by the parent, what are taught by the parent, by the society during socialization, our adaptation. That is the second element, and the self-thought process, our emotions, our attitudes, that comes under the core element. Externally, biological basis and objective events, and then the external influences we take it. So what are the three assumptions our postulate is making for this structure? For each of these components, he made certain assumptions that those except for biological basis. Let us see to the and the postulates for basic tendencies with the inheritance. He says that individual pattern is a unique trait. This inheritance gives a unique pattern. And then origin is biological, that is genetic, hormones, and brain structure, biological. And third postulate is development, refers to the development and changes through the life stages. As the life stages increases, our development also increases. Third one is a structure, related to structure. It is organized in terms of traits, that is from general to the particular. These are certain postulates from the basic core component in the structure, that is basic tendency, biological tendency. Then is the postulates for characteristic adaptation. One is this acquiring of patterns of thought, feelings, and behavior will be from the environment. They will influence our personality or types, because we are adapting to the environment and situation as it demands, either in performance or interpersonal relation or marriage or other goals or personal plans. All these activities, we will be changing our patterns. Second characteristics of adaptation is it will be consistent across with our goals and also with the cultural values. Third postulate he makes that it is plasticity, that they can change. Earlier we have seen that he has belief in the learning process. In the environment, he says that behavior can be modified. Here he is emphasizing same thing in the characteristics adaptation, that in order as the environment changes, our adaptation style also changes. Also traits also change if required, depending on our biological maturity, social changes, and environmental changes, and cultural changes. This is the essence of Big Five theory, all Big Five theory. And he also developed certain scales or the inventories. He called this as a Neo inventory. 1978, he developed one inventory called a Neo Personality Index inventory. Then it is only with 3 dimensions he made that prepared that inventory or a test to know the personality. After 5 years, in 1983, he developed Neo-PI test for all 5 dimensions, ocean. Then in 1990, he developed Neo-PI R revised with 240 questionnaires. Then he revised again in 2005, brought in Neo-PI 3. Then he again modified and brought in Neo. Neo means neuroticism, extraversion, and openness. And then he again named that as FFI. So if present we are having Neo-PI FFI 3. So this is about different scales, inventories developed by Big Five founders. They are Paul Costa and Robert McRae. This is about the Big Five theory. Now with this, we have completed entire syllabus. All the 25 units are covered. So let me know if you have any doubts in 5 minutes.
Sir, out of 25 this chapters are, sir, if you don't mind, sir, we would like to know which are the focused chapters. Just important, could you please tell us, sir?
Generally, it is examination clue is generally you refer last to previous 3 question papers. We cannot say which one is important, which is not important, but
Okay.
the questions will be there from all the 5. There are 5 blocks in each of these book. These 5 blocks, each block is having certain units. You will get questions from all the blocks. Your score will be depending on how many questions you answer. If you see previous questions, you can know the trend from each unit. You are getting more questions that you can focus. Generally, people adopt that one. But all said and done, this all depends on examiner to examiner. So mostly people, the Freud classical psychoanalytical theory generally, and another more important is highly used is Erik Erikson's psychosocial development. These 2 are very important in terms of practical utility nowadays, also, therapy point of view also. Then analysis perspective, trait theories are very useful to know what is the personality of a person. We get developmental problem, developmental fixations, ego fixations. Here in the human trait theories, we get evaluation tests are there to know the personality. They are used for psychopathology to know confirm the tendency of diseases or mental diseases. Also the personality types, whether is suitable for to the job or not. Nowadays, people are using this for even before marriage also. Whether introvert can extrovert coexist with introvert, extrovert husband and neurotic wife, can they coexist? Such things are also now in the psychological field they are discussed. So they are also very important. Trait theories are important, psychoanalytical theories are. Regarding the determinants are there, it is not a single unit, but you have to study all put together. Biological factors and social determinants put together. I have already given that mind map in the class. I have drawn a diagram of all these elements in a single sketch. Mind map I drew on the blackboard. You can use that and easily understand that one. Always prepare mind maps and tables. For example, so many theories are there. Psychoanalysis, you can prepare a table, how one person differs in terms of others. Otherwise, for one theory, you will be writing another theory. Unless you make a differential analysis, how one person differs with other, how Freud differs with Jung, and how Jung differs with Adler, how Adler differs with Aaron, Hornick. This we have to make tabular form so that you can easily write it without writing wrongly.
First year also same thing happened, sir, with theories. We got confused with theories.
Theories, you have to draw a diagrammatic representation that is called mind map.
Yeah, this is better idea, sir. Yes.
There is another
This one
concept you can read mind map and also fishbone diagrams. Fishbone diagrams
fishbone
are
diagram.
very
Okay.
useful. You can easily
Okay, sir.
all points in that.
Yeah, this is very much better for us, sir.
Regarding
Understand
this,
theories.
I will give this 16 PF online to know your personality. Just for a fun purpose, I will show this one. I will post this.
Thank you so much, sir.
Just 1 minute. I think it will not come properly. Just you attempted this. Okay, I think you got it. Is it coming, sir? Yeah, it is coming there. You can test it and to know, get the feeling of what these tests are, what this personality theory is. Once you attempt it, you can know it. Just I
Okay.
posted it in the meeting chat. You can try it. This I think you are having in our practicals one inventory is there. I think there are 3 inventories. One inventory is there. You will come to know that one in the practicals about the person.
Okay. Sir.
Any other doubts, sir? All the best for your examination. Take care.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Very much worried, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome, sir. Thank you. Shall I leave?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks.